What does he do? Say, what does he do? What does he do? Say, what does he do? What does he do? Say, what does he do? I think lazy creates. What does he do? Say, what does he do? What does he do? Say, what does he do? What does he do? Say, what does he do? I think lazy creates.
Brother, sister, twister, this is Radio Productivista. What's going down, everyone? It's me, Lazy, as always, on the microphone. I talk about struggles I sometimes hate, and I had one yesterday. That was really bad. I talk about problems and stuff I create. This is my journey's documentary, cultivating blissful productivity. That's what's going on. Two days ago I talked about experts and gurus and how we sometimes have the tendency to look for advice exactly in those moments when we are meant to come up with creative solutions ourselves. Last Saturday I went to see some very sweet consultants. I love my sister and my brother-in-law. I love going over to their place and have an extensive chat, which happens every other month or so. It's very hard to get a hold of them and organize a get-together. They are either at a party, working, or on the road with their camper. I've given up on planning stuff with them. It's just too frustrating to take initiative without much success most of the time. Midway, on my way to run some errands, I decided to leave the motorway and stop by Yvonnes and Thomas' place. When I got closer, I was delighted. The door was open. The view into the living room was blocked by a curtain only. It was hot and humid, and they were trying to get the air moving inside of the house, I assumed. They were still chilling in their pyjamas. Of course they were. It was a Saturday afternoon. But they did not have much time. The next party was waiting for them in the evening. We talked about this and that. We reflected on my process of healing, overcoming my real and pseudo challenges, and on my business strategy. They are my consultants, after all. As always, they were intrigued. They were asking questions, and they were trying to follow the complex thoughts I have on these topics. Everything was sweet and beautiful and nice. And because all that understanding was almost too sweet and nice, I felt like asking both of them separately if there was something that came to their minds, maybe some critical stance or perspective with regard to what I had shared. One thing I had shared with my consultants, my sister and my brother-in-law, were my ideas about moving out of my current home at the end of summer. I was thinking about renting two places, one here in Karlsruhe, my hometown I returned to a year ago, and another one close to the place where my youngest lives with her mum, around an hour away. Yvonne was questioning that solution. She was thinking about the money I would have to come up with in order to pay both apartments, but also about the fact being spread between two places and existential centers of gravity. The stuff I shared about my business projects was much more complex and differentiated, and Thomas, the down-to-earth entrepreneur he is, came up with an idea that sounded very convincing at first. Martin, I think you should stop your radio shows, or at least you should turn them into a hobby. From my point of view, it is key that you focus on activities that earn you money directly. I don't know if you have tried something similar. For me, it was one of the first times that I invited people explicitly to take the critical position and to give me critical feedback on my ideas, solutions, and concepts. I had asked for feedback before, but I had been craving the supportive kind then, and I could get pretty angry in a childish narcissistic way, at least internally, if people felt entitled to share their criticism with me. Saturday, although I had asked, it didn't make me feel comfortable either. Rather, the inverse. That is a problem with the order we create in our minds, with concepts and stories in the face of creative and other problems. When that new concept or inner order gets challenged, either by ourselves or by others, it introduces new chaos in our minds. And the invitation to come up with an updated version of our concepts can be an overwhelming and daunting challenge. Leaving my consultant's studio, I felt confused and off balance. That is uncomfortable, of course, but it's the constant side effect of evolving, unfolding our potential and doing our thing. It is also called being alive. After all, our journey is mostly about stumbling forward and practicing our balance. And when we get better at it, with time, our stumbling might look more and more like walking, and sometimes even dancing from the outside. My sister was right. I could feel that. Being closer to my daughter will play an important role, but not now. She is 3 years old. She spends her time with us, her parents and family, and she goes to the kindergarten. That is her social life. With time, she will have friends. Then it will be more important to have a place in their neighborhood where those can come visit and where it is easy to take her to her friends. That would be in 2 or 3 years probably. So it's more interesting to invest in a nice, safe and comfortable car for now, and it would be wise to move closer to the main station in Karlsruhe so commuting becomes less of a hassle. My brother-in-law was right too, but not necessarily with regard to the specific solution he came up with. And to be clear, my approach to developing my business, unfolding my potential and doing my thing is so unique, complex and strange, it would be very difficult for any outsider to give any kind of sound advice with regard to the concrete details. But in a way, that is exactly the problem I'm addressing here, isn't it? The radio shows might look like a distraction and some kind of weird hobby from the outside. A lot of the stuff I've been working on for the last decade or so have been like that. But like any real entrepreneur who's creating something new from scratch, I'm also an artist. To me, the radio shows are the heartbeat and driving force of everything I do. I can feel that while I'm still working on getting that engine to run in a sustainable and soon, hopefully, smooth manner. To be honest, I have no idea why these radio shows are so important to me. The fact they are leads to me having to pour an enormous amount of energy, resources and time into making them happen. It's crazy. It's absurd. It's absolutely challenging, but it is what I feel like doing. Thomas' advice was brilliant. Quite some business intuition must have gone into his analysis, and most consultants would have given the same advice. That radio show of yours, it's such a resource-hungry beast. And there's absolutely nothing you have to show for it as a return on invest. That ugly monster is a sweet little darling of yours, and I cannot understand why that is. Kill it. Please do it now. It sounds right. Yeah, when you do the math, it seems like a waterproof analysis. It does. And the consequence seems evident. Only it is not. From my point of view, that is why a lot of entrepreneurs fail. That is why artists give up. That is why we earthlings do not dare to unfold our potential most of the time. On our unique journey, the things life asks us to do go against conventional wisdom. A lot of times. And the problems we are meant to solve in our unique way are the ordeals that help us forge our character to free and empower ourselves. On a more general level, my brother-in-law was right, of course. I need to focus more and make sure I take wise decisions on how to invest my resources. I'm already on it. I've started to think about these things with much more realism and differentiation lately. To sum it up, seeking advice and feedback can be a good thing, but it rarely replaces the inner work we have to do on two levels. First, there is a habit we want to cultivate. We want to make order in the house in a constant manner. That is, make order in our organism, in our organism's feeling and thinking. We want to get rid of stuff that doesn't belong there and make room for our intuition to flow with ease. And we want to take any advice from the outside with a grain of salt. Advice and feedback are a part of the abundance life provides us with. But it is our own critical thinking and our own creative process that needs to turn any advice into something useful in a process of differentiation, testing, and integration. Yes.